This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville Podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
And now, your host of the Ballsville Game Podcast, Scott Fitzgerald.
Are you ready for some football?
Alrighty, I like that intro. Welcome in, Ballsville gamers, to another episode of the Ballsville Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Fitzgerald, aka Lutz for Sale on Sleeper, and this episode is brought to you by the BallsvilleGame.com. Our games combine fantasy football and poker, which create big payouts with great odds. All right, gang, got a big show today. Lots to talk about in the Ballsville community. We have a lot to talk about in general, and we got some triathlon talk. We've got some new players in Ballsville, which we always like to hear. So let me go around the horn and introduce you to my panel. Like always, he's Bill's Mafia, my co-host. He goes by Trader Clem on Sleeper. Did you change your name again, Sean?
He did.
I'm going to trade it. I'm testing the waters here. All right, the Trader Club. What do you guys think? Give me some insight on the comment section.
I like
We
Trader.
might trade it up. We're gonna find out.
It's easier to read.
Actually, I'm going to do probably a name change too. I was told that Lutz for Sale is not very football friendly, so I'm going to create a football name.
Friendly in general.
So yeah, I was told by family members that I should change my name to something more football related. So I will test the waters probably the next time you see me next week. Below we have the good old boy from West Texas. He is the 2024 Ballsville Player of the Year. He goes by C-Bomb on Sleeper, and his name is Connor. What is up, Connor?
What's up? I think Sean should go by Slim Winnings.
Oh, touche.
Oh God, I missed you, Connor.
Welcome back. And then out in LA, she crushes Justin Herbert. She's our producer. She goes by Sarah M21. What is up, Sarah?
What's up, guys? It's not quite LA, but it's close enough. I'm in Santa Cruz, but it's California. It's all good. I used to live down there. And also Tanner, thank you. I liked that intro as well.
All right, let's introduce some of the people in chat. We have our El Presidente Alejandro Hernandez. He's in chat. We have Tanner, which it looks like Sarah. Welcome in.
That's Life's a Beach 420.
Life's a Beach. I like that name. Like always, we got Short Stack in here. What's happening, Short Stack? And everyone else is probably coming in a little bit later. So like I said in the intro, we get 20 eyes in here. We're gonna run the Presidente let us know that we're gonna run a free mini game for you guys. So free things again for you guys. So welcome in. So I want to go over some new players. Our mini games are kicking off. Our dynasties are kicking off, and I have a list of new names. Everyone's super excited for this part of the podcast because I get to try to decipher these names of these new players. So don't shoot the messenger. I will do my very best. So in the Siegfried, which is our expanded Dino leagues, we have King Judy. Welcome in. This one's super easy. PPPP. So like 4 P's in a row. Super easy for that. We got Red Monstaller. Welcome in. We got Uperiski and I Getting Infinity. So that's the new players for Siegfried. Welcome on in. I think I did pretty good there. And then in Clay, we have 3 newcomers. We got
not going to be as easy.
RS Zim 94.
No. How'd that go, Scott?
RS Zim 94. We have Daniel Denny 03 and PMZ. So welcome on in, players. We love having you guys come in and welcome you to the Ballsville community. And the people that are in Clay, welcome. And you've now experienced Trader Clem.
Slim winnings.
So
Yeah, that league I have done pretty damn well, I'd have to say.
Yeah, you did pretty well there. So we're gonna check. Let you guys know about our scoreboard. So in our dinos, like I said, Siegfried and Clay have already been drafting. We are now opening up Godzilla, which is number 13 in Dino. So if you're interested in a Dynasty startup, go ahead and go to the website, and you can find a way to get in that way. So that should be very interesting. Also, we're going to talk about our mini leagues. We're opening up 3.07, which is Geralt. Did I say that right, Sean? Geralt from The Witcher.
You actually did say that right.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did.
And am I right?
Maybe
Sarah?
that's because you've been watching the show and listening to somebody else say it over and over and over again.
I actually am a big Witcher fan. I did watch The Witcher on Netflix. It was pretty cool. So, Sarah, you've been running those minis. How have they been going? Really good? Really flawless?
Very smooth. Yeah. At the beginning, like the 100 section, we had some issues with like missed picks and stuff like that. But the whole 300s, the Xbox leagues have been going really smooth. We'd like to fill them a little quicker, I think, but this bringing in new people is the way to do that. So hopefully we'll get some more new people in there.
Good. All right.
Just to be able to get new people at this time of year is amazing.
It is hard. You got to find the people who are, yeah, it's true.
I think it's going pretty good, though. I mean, they seem like
Yeah, it is. It really is.
like these mini leagues from what I've seen. Usually they take about a good week and then they're done. So it's they're going pretty fast. They're not dragging out. So, but if you got a week of time on your hands, hop into a mini. It's a lot of fun and a lot of good practice for when redraft season comes. You'll see where guys are going up and down. So, and then we are gearing up for our first season of our triathlon. We are finishing up the fine touches on this masterpiece that we've created. So I'm going to hand it over to Sean, and Sean's going to give you guys a little update on that. And we are super close to launching this thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're very, very close, guys. So we're literally maybe an hour to two of the three of us putting our heads together to finalizing the payout structure for this game that into a way that we really think you guys are going to like. We actually, just over the last, I'd say 24 to 48 hours, we've kind of thought of something new that we think will be really, really fun for you guys that is going to incorporate some bonus payout options and things like that. So it's going to be a different kind of structure that also does incorporate some sort of a wagering system that we've talked about like we do with our other Ballsville games. So we're going to, like I said, we're really close to getting all that squared away. And next week, we're going to actually have everything ready for you guys to go through a full-on launch of the new triathlon game. And then right shortly after that, if not announcing it that day and allowing it that day, are going to start some signups for the new triathlon game. So it's going to be a really fun experience for us. So make sure you guys join us next week for sure, because we're going to have a lot of information on that triathlon game, and we're going to have the opportunity in the link and everything for you guys to be able to sign up for some pre-registration and see how many leagues you guys are interested in playing in.
Yeah,
The triathlon is awesome.
Yeah, you guys are gonna really like this. We're launching this. We're, like I said, we're the flagship for this new type of gaming. Combining 3 different types of games that people like to play, all wrapped up into one with a little bit of March Madness, since we're at March Madness, a little bit of March Madness style towards the end, and then incorporating Alex's outstanding wagering system. So it's like everything wrapped up into one big ball, and I think you guys are gonna like really love
One
it.
big Ballsville.
One big Ballsville for sure. I want to give a shout out to Cyborg. He runs the biggest March Madness pool on Sleeper. He's been very active in our community. We have almost $5,000 already in this pool for basically like a $20 entry. So it should be pretty cool. So definitely check him out. find his game on Sleeper in the college basketball bracket pool, and he's all over the place. So yeah, definitely get in there, give him a shout out because he's been a big supporter of Ballsville. So we'll give him a little shout out on our podcast.
I'm in there.
Did you get in there? Are you a bracket guy, Connor? Did you
Oh,
get
yeah.
in? All right. How many did you fill out?
I only did one. I only filled one on his. Yeah.
One on his. I don't know. I'm not a big like basketball guy like NBA or anything, but I love March Madness. I just think it's such the purest like playoff because it's just like one and done, man. I mean, if you could be the greatest team and you could just have an off day and your season's over. Like the seniors are graduating. It's over.
Well, the fact for me that there's always like some crazy Cinderella team that does like amazing things that nobody expects is what really makes it so much fun. You know, you get these kids that you could tell like they never thought they'd ever be in that type of a limelight situation. And they're out there, you know, their senior year maybe or junior year, and they're out there playing in this type of game. And it's like many people and just all these eyes in the country on them and all the media, you know, all over them for the whole like prep up to the game and everything. It's just so fun to watch these kids like because they're just kind of like bright-eyed, you know, they're just like, oh my God, this is great. Like, I love it.
And you know, these kids realize too that when this game's over and they're out, if they don't cut the nets down, they'll never play that game again. Because a lot of these kids, they're not going to play pro basketball. So this is it for them. I mean, that's why you see the emotions at the end of the games when these kids lose. They know it's over. So
why don't you gotta take it down a notch like that, Scott? I mean, we were
it's
talking about how awesome it is, and then you go, it's even worse when they lose.
But that's what makes it so great is you know you get the best out of these kids because they know that this could be it. So that's what makes the tournament so great. So that's why I was very adamant when we created this triathlon. I said, hey, I want to do a bracket, have some kind of bracket style in there. I think it would be super cool. So we'll see how it plays out. But so now that we have Connor back, we're going to talk a little bit about some rookies. And Connor
Not only do we have Connor back, but we have the new and improved, freshly dude, nice and shaved Connor back.
Yeah, no doubt. Nice and shaved Connor. I want to welcome in Jimmy. Jimbo's in the chat. Simtropics in the chat.
We're up to 16.
We're going to be mentioning
Almost
you,
there.
Simtropic, and you and Short Stack a little bit later with some. You guys had a little discussion in one of the. I think it was one of the mini leagues that we're going to talk about. So hang out for that. But I'm going to give the floor to Connor because Connor is our rookie expert in Ballsville. So we love to hear what Connor has to say about rookies.
Yeah, let's go over some mock drafts here. I think this is Mel Kiper's newest one. From yesterday. Yesterday morning.
Kiper. Who's Mel Kiper anyway?
Yeah, I mean, he's been off he's been off quite a bit the last few years, I feel like, but he got big, you know, for mocking some of these guys that nobody ever thought of. So
but didn't he get big for like pissing off somebody like to the point to where they were yelling that?
Yeah, I mean, there's been I don't remember who that was. Who was that? Do you remember who that was?
It was a coach of some team. I can't remember what team it was, but
yeah, I remember that. That was a while ago, like right when he got big. You're right.
Who's Mel Kiper? Who the hell's Mel Kiper?
But we'll just go over like some of these picks in the first, 2 rounds or so. He's got, Tennessee drafting Cam Ward first. I've seen some, other people don't. Abdul Carter going second. We've seen him. He has some injuries.
I know why he's doing this. I already know why Connor's doing this.
Why?
Oh, well, just keep going. You'll see.
Shador's at
You don't even know yet, Connor.
Shador's at 3rd here with the Giants. You got Travis Hunter, Mason Graham from Michigan here at 5, Genty at 6. That's pretty high for Genty. With them getting Geno, a lot of people have been mocking Genty over there. Tyler Warren to the Jets, Javon Walker. This is a bit surprising one that everybody's freaking out about. Jackson Dart at 9 to the Saints. I think that's pretty high for Jackson Dart. I would doubt he goes in the top 16 picks or so. Even in the, early on, I was never a big Jackson Dart fan. I mean, Ole Miss, he was never. I mean, he has some good numbers, but he's never looked like the prototypical quarterback there for the NFL. Bears going defense here. Where'd it go?
Uh-oh.
It went to
Uh-oh.
Leonard Floyd. Okay, there we go.
Technological difficulties.
Oh, there we go. We got San Fran picking them a lineman. You got Hampton here. They're going to Dallas. I think that would be a good pick for them, although they did just sign, like it says right here, two running backs in the offseason. LSU guard coming here. Will Campbell. You got Loveland coming here at 14. Another big, tight end that could be big in, your fantasy drafts. The Falcons got Mike Green, Marshall, Will Johnson. I think this is a little low for Johnson. I've seen him go in the top 10, like it says, going to the Cardinals.
Yeah, a lot of Michigan players in there in the top 20.
And so you guys know we will be doing trade talks later today. And Tanner, I got your trade question marked for later, so we'll talk about that when we do trade talks.
Yeah, just you got Cincinnati taking Shamar Stewart. He was like the standout of the combine weekend. I mean, he had some absolutely crazy numbers, like posted 40-inch vertical, really long jump there, and then pretty fast 40 time. Seahawks going defense. Tampa following up with defense. Then we got McMillan. I think this is the first wide receiver I've seen here going to the Broncos.
Oh, and I thought the whole time you were trying to pull this up because he was going to have Golden ahead of McMillan, and you were going to just talk about how bad my pub sub bet was.
No, I like your pub sub bet. I would take McMillan. I think he's the number one. I would actually have Travis Hunter is probably the best actual pure wide receiver, but we don't know if he's going to play wide receiver. But McMillan will probably be.
I mean, that's a discussion all on its own. What position that guy should be playing?
Yeah. Definitely.
Let me stop you there, Connor. Do you think that's even a good landing spot for McMillan going to Denver? I mean, they do have. I mean, I know Sutton's older, and they got Nix has got his number one receiver that he had at Oregon there, Franklin. I thought they maybe possibly, he's going to be a better. You think a better spot for him would be maybe to another team than Denver?
I honestly kind of like this one. This is the first time I've actually looked at this mock draft, but I initially, when I looked at it just now, I kind of like that spot for him. He
I think
wouldn't
if
have.
this happens, they move Sutton because there's a lot of chatter about that happening anyway.
Well, I mean, it's not like Sutton's like, a pure number one. He's not a top 12, top 16 guy in the NFL, even maybe top 20, talent in the NFL. I think he could be a 2 there and be pretty happy with McMillan, taking over that role.
I think Mims is taking that number 2 role.
Yeah, Mims is more of a slot, utility guy. I don't think he's ever going to be a 1 or 2. He might be a 3. I don't see him. I don't see him ever becoming any more than that. In a football perspective, in a NFL.
You don't think a slot guy could be like a number 2?
What'd you say?
You don't think a slot guy could be a number 2, like a target?
I don't think Mims has the talent to be a number 2.
Okay, all right.
I don't know if I agree with that.
What else? What else we got?
Well, this is going to be his 3rd year, and has he posted 500 yards receiving yet? I mean,
Do you want to do a pub sub of him getting over 500 yards receiving this year?
I'll put a pub sub on him not being the number 2 receiver there, that he hasn't been in his first 2 years.
No, I'm not going to do that because what if they go inside 2 guys tomorrow? I'm screwed. I'm not.
Make that pub sub after the rookie draft.
We'll go down the list a little bit more. Do a couple more. We'll do 2 rounds? You think, Scott?
Focus on the offensive players.
Focus on the offensive players.
Yeah, I mean, I will. Just Pittsburgh going here defense. You got Matthew Golden here.
There's your guy, Scott. There's your boy. So if that were to happen, then that means I get a pub sub out of you.
Yeah. Now see, that's the position I don't like that either because they already got Ladd. I think.
Yeah, but Josh Palmer's gone, so it'd be nice to have him.
Yeah, but so that means they're going to keep Quentin Johnson on the outside then because isn't Ladd more of a slot guy? And then Golden, I think Golden can play on the outside, but I think long term Golden's going to be like that, like that slot guy, that real good slot guy.
Yeah, I mean, Chargers probably aren't going to take Golden, but if they did, I do think that they would put Quentin on the outside because I think that's where they intended to have him to begin with because he was going to replace Mikey Will, but now he's back, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, so I don't know about that. So I don't know. Just interesting landing spots.
Yeah, interesting thoughts.
I'm not a huge Golden guy myself. He did run a fast 40, which everybody always hypes up, but never really translates much to the NFL. But I like Mbuka. He goes here to the Packers.
I like that landing spot.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if the Packers can ever get a 1 there, or a guy that they actually get the ball to like a 1, they might have a better passing offense than they had this year. But I think that's actually a good spot for Mbuka. He's a route runner. None of the other guys have really been, great route runners. They've all had speed and stuff. Reed's been a pretty good, utility guy. Dobbs has had some issues with drops and stuff too. So, and Watson's gone.
Wicks.
All right, guys, we got 19 eyes on us right now.
19. We went away.
One more. So
Well,
call
technically, it wouldn't be 19 eyes, right? It would be, 32 eyes, right?
38.
38 eyes.
Wow.
I mean,
Oh, we lost one.
half is better than my strong suit.
It's the math. It failed him.
Yeah.
It's the math. He's left after he heard Sean's
He's like,
math.
these guys don't even know how to count. I'm out of here.
These guys can't count. I don't even know how many free entries to give away.
But we got another defensive player here from Texas going to the Vikings. Offensive line going to the Texans. Defense. Rams go defense here. Baltimore goes defense. Detroit goes defense. Commanders defense. Another Michigan player. Man, with all this talent, you'd think Michigan would have done something this year, but I don't know.
What did you think of? We didn't even
Didn't
talk
they go
about
like 6-6
Mbuka
or something?
going to the Packers.
No,
did we?
hey, all we know is we beat Ohio State, so that's all we cared about.
Did you bypass Mbuka going to the Packers, or did you guys?
No, we
go
talked
over
about
all
that.
Yeah, we just talked about that, man. What was you doing?
Where was I at?
He was busy
Where were you
counting.
at?
He was busy counting.
You're trying to figure out how many eyes we
You know what I
had.
was doing, honestly, is I was probably reading comments.
Oh.
Oh, my
I was
God.
reading through all these comments for the last few minutes, so it's probably while you guys were going through all that. Because these guys are great, by the way, our commenters.
Yes, good thoughts.
So we round out with a couple. We got Kelvin Banks from Texas here. He's been projected higher in some of these mock drafts. I think he was originally before the season projected like top 10 pick, but Walter Nolan here going with the last pick of the first round. See if we got a second round from Mel here. Does he have anything, or you just did one round? Yeah,
Maybe
just
I'll-
one.
I'll
Just
do
one
something.
round here from Mel. But what do y'all think? What pick do y'all want to talk about a little bit more? I like this one right here. What do y'all think?
Sanders, I think that's a good spot for him because I think Dion wants his son in a big market where he can market him and play for a city with the that's big into sports. So I think he has no problem with him going to the Giants at all. He can match up with Malik Neighbors for the future. And no, I think it's a great spot. What about you, Sarah?
I agree. I'd love to see him go to New York. I think that's a great spot for him. I think that's great for him and Malik
Sean?
Neighbors.
John?
I think he's a bust.
Wow, a bust?
Ooh.
I'm saying it now. I think he's a bust.
What?
Connor, do you think he's a bust?
I mean, a lot of these scouts aren't really liking him that much. I actually, pre-combine, pre-draft it, pro days and stuff like that, I actually had Sanders above Ward, and I still actually lean that way. I feel like he's a better pure passer than Ward. Ward had, really couldn't read a defense last year. He had, bad turnovers last year. He really tried to force the ball, which, you saw that with Caleb Williams as well, but I don't think he's as talented as Caleb Williams, generally speaking. I don't think any of these quarterbacks are going to be, your Nets Mahomes or anything like that, or I think they're going to be your average quarterbacks here. They'll stay in the league a while. Trevor Lawrence's, Bryce Young's type players. I don't think any of these quarterbacks are going to be world beaters.
I think
But
I think maybe he gets a bad rap because he played for his dad at Colorado, and they're like, oh, he played with his dad at Colorado, and he didn't really play for a big school, and I think he might get a little bad rap for that.
Yeah. Like I said, I like him a little bit better than I like Ward. I think Ward going here at 1 to Tennessee. I've heard they're actually leaning against. I've heard some reports that they're leaning against going quarterback just because they believe in either of these quarterbacks, but you don't know when you'll be able to get one of these, top round quarterbacks, next year, not the greatest class. You might have Arch Manning, depending on what he does this year in college. Quinn Ewers. Is Quinn Ewers? Did he come out? No, he went back to
Quinn
school.
Ewers came out already. Yeah, he's out this year.
Quinn
No, I
Ewers
think he-
this year.
I thought he transferred, didn't he? Or did he end up?
No, he came out. He was at the was he at Senior Bowl or something? I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was at one of them bowls.
I couldn't remember if he, decided or not. What do you say?
I mean, I don't think Tennessee
Yeah.
takes a quarterback. I
He
mean,
did.
I think they want to pile up picks for the 2026 class, 2027 class. I think they're just gonna. I mean, they invested in Will Levis. They're gonna give him another shot. They'll bring in a backup. They need a lot of help everywhere, not just quarterback. So I think they just, and like Connor said, it's not the greatest class. So if they can get anything for that top pick, I think they'll just pile picks. They'd rather just pile picks.
I'd trade back if I was them. There's no reason for him to take a quarterback too high at 1 overall. You take a 1 overall quarterback and he's a bust, then you're screwed.
Yeah,
You're picking there again next year.
yeah.
I would rather take Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter is the best player in the draft, in my opinion. Whether he plays receiver, whether he
I'd
plays
trade back.
receiver.
Connor, Connor, let me run this by you because Zubikis made a good point in the chat. So Jalen Melrose ran a 4.38 in his pro day for a quarterback. Had a real good pro day. I want to know your take. I'm actually really interested to know your take on Jalen Melrose.
He'll never be a starter.
Never be a starter?
No, I mean, he had a good, athletic pro day, but he actually, his accuracy was horrible. He had a deep ball that was nice, but besides that, he was all over the place.
So is it like in the Hendon Hooker range?
I mean, maybe. Hendon Hooker's problem was he was, what he teared both ACLs before he went pro.
Yeah.
He had two massive knee surgeries or whatever. So I think Hendon Hooker actually had some talent there. I don't think Milroe. I mean, Alabama was supposed to be number 1 overall, that offense and stuff, and he really couldn't even get his best player the ball most of the games, and their offense was just stagnant for Alabama with all that talent there. It's kind of disappointing to see. So,
all right, you heard it here first. Be careful.
From a Texas Tech fan.
not Texas Tech. Texas Tech sucks. Guns down.
Guns down. He's A&M. He's A&M. So, all right. Well, that's good. That wraps up that part. So thank you, Connor. Is there anything else before we move on?
Oh,
Okay. All right. Thank you again. Like I said, if you guys haven't yet, go on the website and read Connor's work. Connor puts a good book out for Dynasty, and it's an awesome read. And he's going to have what are you working on next, Connor?
I think we're going to work on some rookies, maybe top 24 type little booklet about just, the Travis Hunters, the Genties and stuff like that. Little 2-round, little mock thing. I think me and JoJo are going to work on that. Try to get it out by end of the month or so.
All right. You guys heard it here.
Cool. Cool.
Definitely
Right
good
on.
read. So we try to give you gamers all the insights, good information for you guys. So next segment is I kind of combed over some of the dynasty leagues that we're in right now. I wanted to identify some players that possibly I think might be overdrafted or underdrafted, and I guess there was another conversation in one of the other mini leagues about a certain quarterback. So I want to run through. I want to see what the panel thinks about this. So the first player, and I think I may have mentioned him before, but it's really getting kind of aggressive now, in my opinion, is Bucky Irving. So I'll start with Sarah. So I'm seeing Bucky Irving in these dynasty startups. Okay, I know he's only 22, but he's going over the likes of Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, and Jonathan Taylor. So I'm going to go to Sarah and say, Sarah, am I crazy to think that the Bucky hype is just getting way too out of control?
Yeah, and honestly, I know some people who just are like all about Bucky. They think he is just going to be the next big thing, and and like he is just going to, be the number one. And I think he's going way too high, personally. I mean, to go before Brees Hall is pretty wild. I know Brees, hasn't had the best of luck with the way that his team has been going, and and that affects him and everything. But I mean, just yes, I think it's too high. I think the hype is crazy. I do think he's really good, and I think he's probably going to, be really good for fantasy. I'm certainly not taking him over Brees when it comes to running backs, though. That's for sure, and
Sean.
definitely not for Kyron. Not even close.
Yeah, Sean. What? I mean, am I seeing this? Am I going over my boundaries?
No, not at all. Let me tell you, this is where, craziness has gotten us to, okay? This is the players that Bucky Irvin went over in the most recent draft that we're doing currently. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Devon Achane, Brees Hall, AJ Brown, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Kyron Williams. Every single one of those, and that's only like a fifth of the good players that I've mentioned that have gone after him in that draft. That's how many players that he got taken over.
That's crazy.
Every single one of them I would have taken over.
Crazy.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. Not that I don't like the guy. I actually, if we remember correctly, a certain somebody happened to say something about him taking that job a long, long time ago, and look where we are now. So. I don't have anything against the man. I just don't think that we're taking him where he should be taken right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. It's Connor. I want to know. I think we've talked about Bucky with you before. What's your take?
Yeah, he's going too high. He was great at the end of the year. But I mean, we saw what, Rachaad White was, he was projected. Some people were taking him, in the 4th round or so last year. Or I can't remember exactly. We're talking about Trevor, taking him too high. I think about this same time last year, where we're like, Bucky's or White's going a little too high. White's going a little too high, and then Bucky comes in there, takes his job. But who's to say that White doesn't at least push for some more carries?
Or they don't draft one of these amazing running backs that's coming out this year who pushes for carries next season and does the same exact thing to Bucky that White just happened to him.
Yeah, or
that's the thing, is that no matter how well Bucky plays, like running back committees are just a thing now. They're trying to save the running backs' bodies, and there's rarely a pure number one anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's not going to be good, but like there's so much of these other guys are a little bit more proven. He had a good stretch there last year, and I'm not saying he can't do it again, but I wouldn't be taking him. I think I've seen him go as early as like the 211. Or so in a startup, which is just absurdly high. And I personally wouldn't be taking him over Jonathan Taylor. I personally wouldn't be taking him over Devon Achane or Brees Hall. So I don't think. Yeah, I think you could argue Kyron Williams just because he has Quorum there, and he's not old by any means. I think he's 24, 25.
I think he's the biggest underrated back right now in the dynasty.
Yeah, Quorum didn't do shit last year either. So
he's on a team that
Quorum was a rookie, so I'm not saying he's not overtake him in carries or anything, but he does
so was Chase Brown, so was Bucky.
Yeah, so
they didn't have Kyron in there.
They did way more. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll step in real quick. So first of all, I want to say hi to Jerry Bagshaw in chat. Welcome in, Jerry. I know Simtropic said that, we don't watch enough Bucky Irving football. I mean, I live in Big Ten country there, Simtropic, and I watch a lot of Big Ten football. So I've seen Bucky play in college. I like Bucky. I think he's a really good running back, but you have a new system coming in with a new coach. You have a guy in Jonathan Taylor who's a monster, 2,000 yards in college. Kyron Williams in that system, one back system. I don't care if the Quorum's there. Sean McVay is going to give it to one running back and one running back only, and that's Kyron Williams. And then Brees Hall, he's another just monster of a running back. Out of the passing game is there no matter what. So I'm not saying Bucky Irving's not going to be the next great back or anything like that. I mean, I really don't even put him as the next great back. I think he can be a really good back, but he's not an elite back like those three. So drafting Bucky that high, I mean, I think you can just, if you wanted to in the second round, just trade back, pick up more picks, and then you can take Bucky in the third or fourth. But I'm not. He's not going to be on any of my teams that early. There's no way. So, but to all their own. Like I said, if you guys like Bucky Irvin that much, you want to grab him in the second round. Hey,
it's no skin off my back, man. Because like you said, he's not somebody I'm targeting over players that he's constantly going over. So there's no way he's ending up on any of my teams.
No, not at all.
No, I mean, I think there's like, a bunch of people that are either Team Bucky where they're taking him at the 212, or there's people like us or, who's not, not touching him there until maybe the fourth round or so. So,
yeah. And he's never there. So we're never getting him.
Exactly. So it's not, they're never going to end up on Bucky will never end up on my team. I can almost guarantee you. He did win me a lot of money last year. He was on my, my mid-states league that won. So, I mean, thank you, but I'm not picking you in Dynasty.
We had to talk about it. We couldn't get through one pod episode of Connor talking about his mid-stakes win.
All right. So let's like go to we'll pivot right in, or pivot right into like, or piggyback off what we talked about with Bucky is one of the running backs, that Bucky's going over, and that's Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams, I look at a lot of these drafts. He's a tremendous value where he's going. For an example, I'm going to use one player, Devon Achane, who is pretty much the same age. I think they're a year apart, same build, same statistics from last year, and Achane's going 2 rounds higher than Kyren Williams. And in Miami, they got, I mean, is he really the lead back? Is he going to get the lion's share of the carries all the time? I mean, I think he produced a lot of his points were like, big runs, big explosive plays. Achane can do a lot with just a little, where, Kyron's going to get the ball every, tons of touches, tons of receptions. So I just don't see I just don't understand why Kyren Williams is dropping that far. Sean, can you help me out?
No, I can't, because I'm in the same boat as you. I have no idea why he's dropping that far. I just talked about it too, and I think he should be going ahead of, Bucky Irvin and ahead of Jonathan Taylor, and people are just constantly taking him like he's not a super stud. And like, do you remember last season? Everybody was so hyped on him, like, dude, like Kyren Williams, top 3, top 4 back, like. What happened? I mean,
and then he played really well, and then all of a sudden nobody likes him anymore.
Yeah, and why is everybody all of a sudden hating on him now? Like, he's still that good of a back. He still has that much potential, and that offense has done nothing but get better this offseason. So I don't understand why people are dogging on this guy. Like, he's probably going to end up in the top 5, in my opinion, and I'll be glad to take him at 8 or 9 when you guys let him fall to me. I did my best to trade up for him in this league. I just talked about him falling behind Bucky and because I wanted to try to snag him. Unfortunately, I didn't have the capital to make the move happen, but somebody else did, and they did exactly what I was planning, and they traded up to get him. And
before I go to Connor, I mean, I guess the way I look at like different like with running backs is, it's pretty easy to figure out their production and what their production is going to be for a season, as long as they don't get injured. Is the system they're around. If it doesn't change. If no new talent comes in to really challenge them, I mean, like a superior talent that comes in to try to challenge them. If nothing changes at the quarterback position, anything like the system, the coaching, there's a pretty good idea. If the guy doesn't get injured, he's probably going to have just as good as a season. So that's my take on it. What do you think, Connor? I mean, are you? I mean, do you agree that if systems don't change, if things don't change around a certain position, that there's a good chance you could probably assume that they're going to have, as long as they don't get injured, probably the same year that they had the year before?
I would say that's probably more likely than not. I mean, you sometimes see with teams that, do bad, they don't change anything, but, some of the players the next year get, different touches and stuff like that. But I'm not as high as Kyren as most of y'all. I don't have him like way down the list or anything, but I have him behind like the Achanes and the Jonathan Taylors.
Gotcha.
And I think you could argue Bucky over Kyren, in my personal opinion.
So in a dynasty, you have him behind Jonathan Taylor.
Who?
Kyron Williams, you have behind Jonathan Taylor in Dynasty?
Yeah, I have Kyron behind Taylor in Dynasty.
So why? Because Kyron's 3 years younger. Taylor's on the tail end of 26. You know, I don't. Why would you want Jonathan Taylor over? I don't think that the talent level is that much different, and to take, you know, the 1 or 2 years left in Jonathan Taylor versus the 3 to 4 to 5 in Kyron.
I think Taylor's talent is quite a bit different than Kyron. I mean, what Taylor was.
I know his talent is, but he's also older. I feel like his age is kind of.
Yeah, but I think Taylor's one of those guys. I mean, Taylor's one of those guys. I mean, he's had a few injuries in the past, but it's not like he's taken hits. You know, he's a guy that, you know, runs out of bounds type thing. I don't think he takes as many hits, and I think, you know, Taylor's one of those guys who can play until his early 30s or so, late 30s. I mean, not, you know.
Doesn't he have
He's
like
had a lot. He's had
an ankle issue, like
he's had
a
a lot
chronic
of
ankle
mileage
problem?
on him, especially back in college.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he can, but I just don't think Kyron's talent level is there to where he's going to be playing into his early 30s, or, you know, late 20s. I think, you know, he's probably going to get overtaken by his age 27 year, which is
4 years from
not
now.
a great age for. I think they both probably have about 3 years of peak time left, and I think Taylor's peak is higher.
Yeah, I just no, I agree with that take. I just think that I would rather go with the stability of the system that I don't think is going to change in the next year or two with the Rams than the Colts, which is they're unstable at quarterback. I mean, they're unstable at receiver. I mean, Pittman had an awful year. Obviously, it was because of the quarterback. Is Shane Steichen still going to be there in 2 years? I mean, I don't see McVay going anywhere for a long time. So,
Not unless he retires.
yeah,
That's
but
the only thing going to
he's
pull
too
him out.
young. He's too young. He's
I mean, he was talking about it a couple years ago. He could pull some retirement after Matthew kind of thing. You know, he was talking about it a few years because he's so like, what do they call it, enigmatic personality wise, that he could be like super good on the air, and like he'd probably jump right into Jimmy's chair on Fox, you know, or something. And like he's that kind of guy. So there's possibility he could just retire young, so he could do something that requires a little less stress and a little more fun.
Gotcha.
Just to clarify, Taylor is only 2 years older than Kyron, and he averaged more points last year than Kyron per points per game. So, and
Okay,
he doesn't,
years
and he
older,
doesn't,
what, like
and he
24,
doesn't,
26,
and he
but
doesn't have a
27
round
in like a
three.
month?
He doesn't have anybody behind him. I mean, he has Corum, you know, was one of the best rookie running backs that we thought last year, and he's still behind him. It's not like he's going away. He's just signed a rookie deal. So,
Yeah. Okay. Sarah.
All right, we'll talk about a pub sub between
Yeah,
Jonathan Taylor
I
and
just-
Trent Williams
yeah,
as we get a little closer to the season.
I agree more with Sean around this. I mean, I think that Connor's take on Corum is really the reason that people are a little afraid to take Kyron early. I don't know why they're not afraid of Bucky not having someone to challenge him either, but you know, I just think people have been really high on Corum since his rookie year last year, and I think that they think now he's going to take a step up. I don't. I think that Kyron is going way too late. I'm co-managing a league with my friend who's in a startup. And we just got Kyron at 4'11", and it was a steal. We were just like, sweet. We traded up in the first and to get Jalen Hurts, CD, and St. Brown, and then we didn't have a third, and we ended up getting Kyron in the fourth. So it's like, I mean, I love that people are just, you know, not taking him. It's working out well.
Yeah, I just, you know, I watched Corum in college, obviously going to Michigan, and he's a tough kid. I mean, he between the tackles, he can run. You know, at the goal line, he can get in. It just, Corum doesn't have the lateral quickness, the burst to the outside, to match the NFL game. I think at best case, I think he's just going to be a change of pace back.
Give him a breather.
In the NFL, which isn't a bad thing, but I can't see Blake Corum being a lead back in this league. I think when it gets to the point where, you know, Kyron Williams is too old to play, they'll just draft another running back to go with Blake Corum because, like I said, I just don't see Blake Corum being a bell cow back in the NFL. So, all right, let's move on. We're gonna go to a little debate that looks like it happened in Sarah's 306 Steve minigame league. It was between
I missed this debate.
two owners. They're both in here, Simtropic and Short Stack. I want to say hi to Fran. Fran's in the chat. How you doing, Fran? so they had a little debate going on Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold was QB7 last year. They were debating whether or not he will repeat in his new stomping ground. They debated whether or not JJ can reach that QB7 in his first year. And was Sam Darnold a product of the system, maybe the offensive talent around him? So there was a pretty good debate going around. And I'm going to lead with I'll lead with Sean this time. And we'll start. I'll give Sean the Darnold question. So, Sean, do you think Sam Darnold in Seattle can maintain that QB 7 to 10 range, or is he just going to turn into a pumpkin?
No. He'll be lucky to reach like 15.
Okay, so you think so are you saying that it was a product of the system?
Yes. Yes. Of my face cousin, Kevin O'Connell? Absolutely.
Connor, where do you think JJ, if he stays healthy the whole year and is the quarterback all year in that system, do you think he could be a top 10 quarterback year one?
I think he could be, but I would probably bet against that. I bet he's in that 12 to 16 range, 12 to 15 range if he stays healthy all year round. He has the talent. They have the talent, but I mean, rookie quarterbacks, although he's not a rookie, but he technically is, it'll be first-time game action. Never really hit, Jaden Daniels was an exception last year. Never really, take control that first year. They, usually make the jump in their second year or they, fall back. So I would say he probably is not a top 10. I think he does have the talent to maybe get there one day, but I don't think this first year is a year I'd be betting on him to be a top 10 player.
Okay. And then I got a question for Sarah. So this is a non-dynasty question, non-dynasty.
Okay.
You are in a redraft and you are the only quarterbacks you can choose in a redraft for 1 year. You get this guy for 1 year. Are you hitting Sam Darnold or are you hitting JJ McCarthy?
Oh. And my only two choices?
That's it.
I'm going to go Sam Darnold with the experience for the 1 year.
Okay. 1 year. 1 year. What about you, Connor? Gun to your head.
See the head shaking.
Gun to my head, I'm probably taking McCarthy just off the fact I think he has just a little bit more rushing ability. I think he has a little bit better weapons. I mean, Kupp and JSN are pretty good, but we'll see if Kupp can actually stay healthy. But I mean, obviously you have probably arguably the best receiver in football in Jefferson, and then you have Addison and Hawkinson out there to get out there. I think gun to my head.
Trust in rookie quarterbacks in their first year.
What about you?
Playing.
Yeah, but it's Sam Darnold. I mean,
well, JJ is going to be top 10, and Darnold's not going to come close to top 15. So obviously,
oh God, is there another pub sub coming?
Look it.
I think I agree with Connor. I think I'm going to go with the upside of JJ, just because of the O'Connell factor. I mean, seems like every time that guy gets a quarterback, they're just monsters. I mean, he did it with Cousins, and then Cousins moves on to Atlanta, and he's a disaster. So, I mean, it's,
I mean, not only that, dude, let's talk about some of the guys that, like, literally weren't even, like, making teams. They were so bad. And they came in and looked like they were, like, starter-worthy quarterbacks in that system, like Josh Dobbs. You know what I'm saying? Like, guys like that, like, I mean, I think he was bringing in anybody and everybody off the streets, and they were looking like they could easily start in the NFL. Like, it was nuts, man. Like, you telling me that guy's not going to take a J.J. McCarthy with a Justin Jefferson and a Jordan Addison and a T.J. Hawkinson to throw to and turn him into a top 10 guy, then you're nuts.
Yeah, but I would at least, if I'm going to take JJ in a redraft, though, and Zubikis makes a good point in the chat. He is coming off a major injury, is unproven. I would make sure that if you're going to draft JJ McCarthy, which is going to be late, you're going to want to make sure you double tap in the redraft and get a veteran quarterback in there just in case something crazy.
Hey, you guys listen to me out there, okay?
Is there an option?
Sunglass suntan line that JJ McCarthy will be a top 10 quarterback in 2025. Write it down.
Book it.
Hot take.
Book it.
I think there's still a possibility that the Vikings sign somebody. I mean, we've seen rumors of them wanting Rodgers. We've seen rumors that other quarterbacks possibly going there before Rodgers, and then so I don't know if the Vikings are that confident as me and Sean are in McCarthy. It seems like this coming year. So
What do you mean you don't know? They just literally came out right now and said JJ is our number one. We do not want Aaron. He can go
I know,
home.
but I'm just talking about all the rumblings of this thing. So you don't know what's actually going on internally.
Well, they also said that there was multiple teams asking the Vikings if they were willing to move on from JJ McCarthy, and they said no, he's going to be our starter.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
But I would love for Aaron to sign with the Vikings because I want to see him
Oh God,
stand
no!
on the
Please,
sideline
no.
with a clipboard. I'd
Hey,
love.
I don't want
he said
Aaron
he's
anywhere
open
near
to
those
being a
Vikings.
backup somewhere, right?
You know what Aaron's doing right now? He's trying
Ayahuasca.
He's trying to roll himself
Even
into
in
a
the chat?
championship, a Super Bowl ring without even doing anything. So he's trying to get
He's
that.
like, I'll be a backup for a really good team. Let's go.
He's got literally 2 teams, and he's like, he thinks something better is going to come along. There's nobody else out there that even wants to touch him.
Nobody
Dude. He's got the Steelers and he's got the Giants. That's all you got, dude. Just make your decision already and move on.
Hey, before we move on, I want to go around the horn real quick. Does the Sam Darnold signing is that a positive for JSN or a negative, Sarah?
I mean, Sam Darnold is by far not one of my favorite quarterbacks, but I think he's got talent and I think he's underrated. And I think he's going to do well for them.
Sean?
Sam Darnold sees ghosts. It's going to be terrible.
Connor?
I think it's worse than Geno, personally.
Worse.
I also think the signing of Kupp doesn't do much for JSN since they're both majority slot guys. So,
all right, we will see. We will happen to
We
see.
shall see.
All right, and one quick thing. I guess it was to my attention that Daniel Jeremiah.
Short stack. We were talking about redraft on JJ, by the way.
What did you say?
Short stack had said I'm all in on JJ and Dynasty. I said we were talking about redraft.
Oh yeah, we were talking.
Yeah, for the Darnold JJ conversation, it was redraft. Yeah,
It was
that was definitely. But no, Daniel Jeremiah said he wouldn't be surprised if Golden went over Tet in the NFL draft. So
he was one of the mocks that actually had him over it.
Yeah, he had a mock.
Just to clarify, he had Daniel Jeremiah going 12, or Daniel Jeremiah had Matthew Golden going 12 to the Cowboys.
I'd say that'd be pretty epic if Daniel Jeremiah had Daniel Jeremiah going 12 to the Cowboys.
He might as well mock that because he had Matthew Golden going 12 to the Cowboys, and then he had Tet going 22nd to the Chargers. So he might as well have put himself over there at 12 to the Cowboys.
Hey, Daniel Jeremiah is he's a young looking 40-something. He might be able to get out there and still sling the rock for the Cowboys. I mean,
is he from the South? Is he a Texas boy?
I've never heard of Daniel Jeremiah. Sorry.
Are you serious? Come on, man. You're the rookie whisperer over here.
I'm going to read his bio right quick. Daniel Jeremiah, NFL media analyst. He was a former scout for 3 different NFL teams. Obviously didn't work out too well. For the Philadelphia Eagles in 2010 through 2012.
Wow. Look
the
at
Browns.
The Browns throwing shade at one of the old school men, dude. Daniel Jeremiah is like a stud in the industry, bro.
Yeah, he graduated from App. He graduated from App State. Yeah, what a stud.
Oh wow. All right, Daniel Jeremiah.
Water over here burning bridges before leaving.
I want to challenge Daniel Jeremiah to Ballsville, Ballsville Player of the Year. Like if he can win this trophy, then he gets.
Oh my God, I would love for Daniel Jeremiah to come on this podcast. Cool, Connor.
I got an idea.
So excellent.
I got an idea. Connor, you do a 1-round mock draft of the NFL. Do a 1-round mock draft of the NFL, and we'll compare it to Daniel Jeremiah since you win.
Okay, but he's only had
more
like
than
17.
That. We'll email it to Daniel Jeremiah and tell him to give us his breakdown on Connors.
No,
Come
but
on,
what's going to happen is Daniel Jeremiah, this is like his third version. He's going to have 19 versions, and then he's going to post on Twitter or whatever. Look, I was so right because you know this is version 12 of 72, and it's completely right. And he's like, oh yeah, I was 98% correct. That's what all these stupid analysts do on freaking NFL.com.
Oh, my God. Oh, I so hope that he catches wind of this conversation.
I really do too.
I really doubt it, you guys.
I do
All
too,
right.
but it would be amazing.
Probably
That would be awesome content. We would love to have here on the Ballsville podcast. But
Oh man.
all right, well let's
We need more
move
than 50
on.
viewers first.
Usually it's
have,
the Jets that's what takes to get Connor List riled up. You know, now we know we got Daniel Jeremiah and the Jets to get Connor going.
Well, he hasn't been on in a while, so he has a lot of built up anger that he needs.
I just
It's
looked
pent
at
up. It's pent up.
The
Yeah.
mock draft that I just looked at of his is just absolutely absurd. I
I
just,
can see it. You're
Absurd.
actually literally getting red while you're talking about it.
It's
Connor,
true,
who do you
getting a little
trust? Connor,
flush.
who do you trust more, Mel Kiper or Daniel Jeremiah?
I kind of like Mel Kiper a little bit. I don't think he's, you know, the next Jesus or anything, but
Celebrity
Sean's
death
dying.
match. Daniel Jeremiah versus Mel
No.
Kiper.
Welcome
Sean,
in,
I
Joe.
think we have to go to Jeremiah's after the rookie draft. I think we should go ahead and compare with Jeremiah's picks and see how far off they were.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
that's
But we
why I
got to
want-
do it only on the most recent one that he had, not
If-
all 19.
No,
If-
just the most recent.
if Matthew Golden goes 12 to the Cowboys, I'll donate all of my Ballsville winnings that I win this next year to some charity that Daniel Jeremiah supports.
Oh my God!
That's only if Matthew
Oh, yeah,
Golden
we
goes
better
12
clip that,
to the
Sarah. 55 minutes.
Yep,
55
clip
mark.
it.
Clip that one right there because we got to send
Right.
that to TJ.
57-26.
Yeah. What about that's another one too? What about Field Yates? You like Field Yates?
I like Phil Yates. He's a great, fantasy guy. So
Like Field
He's
Yates?
literally like a mini version of Daniel Jeremiah.
Jeremiah was his mentor. I don't know.
Je-
I'm just kidding.
JoJo, you think Matthew Golden's going to go 12 to the Cowboys? Please tell me you're not that ridiculous.
Welcome in, JoJo. JoJo's in the chat.
Hello,
All right,
JoJo.
All right, real quick before we go, Sean, what's your favorite? What's your go-to fantasy football website?
My go-to fantasy football website.
Besides the Ballsville.
Oh, Scott, you got to let me say it, dude. Come on.
Besides the Ballsville.com. Before
Come on.
the Ballsville.com was created, what was your go-to fantasy football site?
I mean, to be honest, like for fantasy football, like the main two sites that I usually go to are Fantasy Pros or KTC. And that's just because I'm usually looking at it for trade information and stuff like that. So
Connor?
like those are the two that I'm usually on.
Connor?
Flock Fantasy.
Flock. I've heard about them. Sarah?
I genuinely used to pay for a site where like I could like plug in like a bunch of guys that I wanted for fantasy, and it would run through this algorithm and it would like pop me out lineups and stuff. And I just cannot remember the name of the website because I was so thoroughly disappointed with them. I forgot they existed. But other than that, I just mess around and look on like KTC. Is it KTC or KCT?
Yeah, keep track of that.
Yeah, KTC. Just mostly so I can pop in like ideas for trades and look at some stats on there, but not much.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I use
like-
Fantasy Pros for rankings, and then I use KTC for just trade eval.
Gotcha. Yeah, I usually use Rotoballer, so I use Rotoballer. I've been using.
Or I call.
Oh yeah,
call
Roto.
it-
I've looked around on their site a bit.
Yeah, Rotoballer's pretty good.
Oh, isn't Roto Grinders? I think is what I.
No, Roto Grinders is DFS. Roto Ballers.
Oh yes, that's right. Because I used to do a ton of DFS. That's probably.
Yeah,
it.
the UDK kit's pretty dope. I talked to Trevor; he has that, and I use him for that information too.
What is
So
it
I
called?
guess you could say I use that. The UDK, the Ultimate Draft Kit from the
Oh.
Fantasy Footballers.
Okay. Nobody uses. Nobody. I actually go to Underdog too. I like Underdog.
Yeah, I do some underdog too. Yeah, I do a lot of underdog. But I mean,
Underdog-
they don't have a lot of
Underdog has-
write-ups.
I can't do
has,
Underdog in Nevada.
Underdog
so.
has really good. If you go on YouTube, they have really good. That young kid from California that always wears a Dodgers hat. I forgot what his name is, but he breaks down a lot of good film. I like watching his film study. He breaks down really good. So yeah, I like watching the Underdog the videos on there on the breakdowns. So all right, let's move on. We're gonna move on to section. last week it was called the Sean Trade-a-thon that we talked about last week. We're not going to do that this week. We're going to move on to some other trades and not break down all of Sean's 678 trades that he
in one league.
that he went through in multiple leagues. So we got some other
Just
people
one league.
that want their trades evaluated. So we're going to get into some trade talks. And Sean, you have the
You announce this segment, Sean?
My trade talks, absolutely. And my new graphic. What do you guys think of Trader Clem? What do you guys think of my new Trader Clem graphic? You like that? That was the courtesy of our El Presidente, Alex Hernandez.
That's a nice little AI photo.
Right? It almost looks like me.
It does not look like you at all.
Well, JoJo's in here, so I know we gotta have a trade for JoJo. I know he was talking about some trades that he wanted evaled.
Well, I pulled some trades that were in there, so if he put it in the AV media, then this is one of them. So first trade up for Trader Clem to evaluate is Josh Allen and Dallas Goedert in exchange for Jared Goff, Trey McBride, and the 110.
Wow.
So, Scott, where do we stand?
The 110. Well, I don't really. All right, so I don't really care about Dallas Goedert for McBride. Obviously, McBride's an awesome talent. The 110 really doesn't do a lot for me. Goff's a little older. I mean, I'm not trading Josh Allen. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going and you're doing the Scott thing that you like to do so much, and make sure you go with the trade that has the best player in it, pretty much.
The best player in fantasy football. Yes.
What was it? What was that?
Hey, you know I'm a Josh Allen fan.
I just like to hear people say it.
Yeah, he's the best player, and he just signed that new big deal for $330 million, so he's going to be around for a while.
Yeah. What about you, Connor? Where are you standing?
Yeah, I mean, it's Allen's side pretty easily for me on that one.
You too, Sarah?
Yeah, definitely. I think with McBride, is this a TEP?
I'm actually, it's funny that you said that, because I'm literally looking in the AV media right now to find out if there's any information on whether this is a TEP or not.
Not that I would make the trade
like,
if it was, but I can understand, because in all of the startups I've seen, McBride is the second tight end off the board after Bowers. So
it's
I know
not
a lot
a
of people
TEP.
are. It's not, then I'm not even close then. It would be at least a little close with McBride, but I mean, that's got to be like a 1-2, a McBride and someone better than Goff. So, I mean, not that Goff's not good, but someone even better. So, yeah, no, definitely Allen's side all the way. I know a lot of people are really high on McBride, though, so I see him going pretty high.
I agree. I definitely, the guy, it's funny to me, because if you look at the sent versus the receive, the guy who actually was giving away Allen is the one who sent the offer. So that to me is pretty trippy that he actually put that offer together and sent it out that way.
That person was like, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have been like jumping all over that, maybe wrecking my car trying to hit that button while I'm driving, But, yeah, no, I'm all about that trade on the Allen side. Obviously, I'm always going to lean towards an Allen trade, but this makes it even easier, because I like you said, I would have honestly wanted the 102 and everything that's on that board.
Yeah.
Before I consider this close to fair.
Even consider it, yeah.
That's kind of where I stand with that deal too. So whoever it is that snagged out Josh Allen in this deal, which it looks like it was the man who gave us this trade, who goes by Shan, SHAN, on the Discord that we're in. So good job on that one, Shan. He also submitted the next trade. This was I'm not sure if this is the same league. I'm assuming it is based on his post. So in the next trade for Trader's Clem, he sent Joe Burrow, and the 104 and the 102 is what he received in exchange for Justin Herbert, Isaiah Pacheco, Rashee Rice, the 111, the 2026 first, 2026 second, 2025 212, and 2025 211. So it's quite a bit for a Joe Burrow, but he gets Joe Burrow 104 and 102.
I mean, what the What? I mean, I
Yeah.
love Herbert, but I'm not giving up a 1-2, a 4, 1-4, and Burrow for that. I mean, I got to take the Burrow side on this because I forget 211, 212, like none of those factor in. I don't even know if Pacheco's even is running back one anymore. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. I think that's a little too expensive to give up the 1-2, 1-4, and Burrow, but that's me.
Yeah, I'm before I get into my take, I'm gonna let everybody know, please like and subscribe to our podcast. Please leave a comment. It really helps a lot. We want to try to get those numbers up. So please do that in your spare time. Yeah, if you're gonna give me Joe Burrow and two early number ones,
Yeah. Take
even though I'm not crazy about the 2025 draft, I mean you're not gonna get Genty, but you could take those two picks if you don't like the quarterbacks, and you could move back, and pick up additional draft capital. So that's where you can get your extra picks. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Burrow side.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't like the way that, to me, what it looks like is it looks like the dude that, I don't know who sent or received this trade. It looks like, okay, so he sent the offer to get Burrow, and it looks to me like what he did is he pulled the old KTC trick on the guy and just stacked a bunch of stuff together to make it look so dang
So he
valuable
pulled out
that what he was
even.
getting in return was just minuscule. But it's really, if you actually break it down piece by piece, it's really not close in my opinion. The 102 and the 104 are so valuable on top of that on their own, and then you got Burrow, who's basically three first on his own. So it's, to me, it just doesn't add up when you start to put the pieces together, especially being his 111 is so late, his 212, his 211, those are almost third rounders basically. So I just don't see the actual return value there for like what I would essentially call 5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that far off. I mean, I think it's, Burrow side, but I don't think it's that far off. I mean, if you add in Rice and Herbert, that's pretty easy. It's just basically Pacheco to first.
Where do you have Herbert at? Because he's been a guy that's ranged anywhere from like 7 to like 10 for people.
Yeah, I think he's probably going mid-second or so in most of our startups, and I think that's probably right about where I have him. Herbert, yeah.
If you have it behind like Drake May, because I know you got Drake May at 6.
Yeah,
so
I think
we talked about that. So you got him behind May. You got him behind like Penix or any of the other rookies.
No, I don't have him behind. I don't have him that far. I think he's probably right around 7.
Caleb, you got him behind Caleb.
No, I have him ahead of Caleb. But I think Burrow wins this, but I don't think it's that bad. I mean, you get a bunch of roster roll pieces. Rice, Herbert, 111. You move back a little bit, but I think I probably keep Burrow plus my 3 picks for that.
I mean, like Herbert, Rice, and 111 for Burrow. There you go.
What I would do too, just now that I see it, is, I like the 2026 class and 27 class. I would try to tell that dude, look, instead of giving me those 2 seconds in 2025, if I'm reading that right, give me a 2026 first.
He does have a 2026 first in there.
Oh, he did. I can't read
111, 26 first, 26 second, 211, 212. But let's get one thing straight. He's got 102, 104 in Burrow, so I'm assuming those are going to be late 26s.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah, and he's got Allen and all that too, because we saw the other trade.
Oh,
so now he's sitting with Allen and Burrow. Yeah, because he got both those deals that submitted. So yeah. So in this situation, to me, like that 26 are probably going to be later picks. Those seconds, I said, are already basically thirds. If the first is almost a second, it's a 111 in a bad rookie class.
Yeah,
Isaiah Pacheco is potentially 1 draft pick away from being third stringer.
Yeah.
So it's a really scary trade for me as far as value on that end. That's all.
Yeah.
I do like the Herbert. I do like Rice. Those are the 2 pieces I like a lot, but I don't think they're worth enough. What they bring to the table the rest of it does not come close to filling the gap between the 1, 2, 1, 4 and Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
So
Agreed.
I'm with you guys on that one. So Trader Sklem agrees. And on this one, so this is an interesting one that Trader Sklem wanted to bring to the table, and he will be talking in third person for the rest of the trade talks.
Oh, good.
Yeah. We got Marvin Harrison. So this was an offer that was actually out there, and this was a request of what would you do request if you were this gentleman. So I thought this would be a fun one to kind of talk about a little bit, just because it's a little different than what we're used to seeing. Is where would you guys stand if you received this offer sent to you? What would you consider doing with this offer? Would you accept it? Would you counter it? If so, how? Or would you just decline it and say kick rocks? Start with you, Sarah. What do you think?
Oh, starting with me. I was just thinking about it because, poor Marvin Harris has, didn't have a good start to his rookie season. And I still think that his name holds a lot of value right now because he could come back and just be really, really good. So to get him and the 103 plus an early second and a mid second, it's not too far off, but I just can't give up JJ unless there's like multiple firsts involved, even with Marvin Harris. If Marvin Harris had played better, or well, had a better quarterback to make him play better, like I think that I might consider this more, but I think I need another first for JJ, even with MHJ.
What about
it's
you,
close.
Connor?
It's
Decline,
close.
counter, accept. Where are you at?
I probably counter this. I think it's close, like Sarah said. I would just want a little bit more for Jefferson. I think best player, arguably. I think Chase is going above him right now. But I mean, last year we were, thinking people were insane for having anybody but Jefferson as their wide receiver one. I think if you maybe need, a quarterback and you're thinking, Cam Ward might fall there or so, you could, possibly take it. I just personally would want a little bit more for Jefferson.
Scott, where are you at? Decline, counter, accept.
Actually, I think it's a pretty fair offer, to be honest with you. I mean, I traded for JJ last year for 2 firsts and like a late second, and I thought that was enough. I mean, the firsts were I think it was like a 103 or 104 and a 102, I think it was. So I think it was a 102, 103, and then like an early second. So I got like almost like 3 first rounders for them. So I don't think I think those 2 seconds you could package together and maybe move up a little farther and get like a 110 or something like that. So I think it's a fair deal. I mean, I think either side would be happy with what so if I was getting the Harrison side, depending on what my build was and where I was at, if I'm a contender or rebuilder, if I was a contender, I'd probably keep the Jefferson side. If I was rebuilding, I would definitely accept this offer and take the Harrison side.
Gotcha. And I'm kind of along the same lines with you guys. I think I would counter, and the reason that I would counter and the way I would counter is because of my lack of confidence in the 2025 class, especially when you get into that second round. So I would drop the second round picks with my counter and maybe even potentially drop Tajay Spears out of there and try to snag myself like a Bryce Young level quarterback and make that my deal. Marvin Harrison, 103, and Bryce for JJ. And then if he really wants me to make sure I have Tajay in there, okay, fine. I can maybe do Tajay and take the 203 also. But that would be about where I would turn. That'd be about as far as I'd go, because I do want, like you guys said, I would want to have some sort of a piece. If I'm giving away JJ, Marvin has got so much ability. I do like Marvin a lot. But the way this rookie class is, I don't like the 203 and the 207. I think I would want different return, whether it's a quarterback or not. It's up to you, I guess, in your build. But I would definitely want a piece, like a player piece, rather than the 203 and the 207.
Yeah, I actually like that. I like that analysis. Yeah, if you could get a quarterback in return, like I would even take, like a Bryce Young or something like that. Somebody that is, especially at the hard position in Dynasty to get as quarterback. So yeah, if you can land a quarterback instead of those picks, that'd be nice.
Yeah, and I do like Marvin. I know Joey's talking about how our judgment on Marvin is too low. I agree with you. I do think that Marvin's got potential to still be the stud that we all thought he would.
It's not. Yeah, it's not the potential of Marvin. It's who's throwing to him and if that's going to get better. It's not about Marvin's talent. It's about where he is and how they can utilize it.
It's also Justin Jefferson, and
Yeah, and it still is JJ. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So moving on to another trade that I know there's going to be a certain panelist who's going to be really excited to talk about these upcoming trades here, because these are some startup trades that happen to be in a dynasty league that a certain person on this panel happens to be involved in. So some of these trades here, guys, are going to be a little bit more of a what not to do than a what you should do scenario here in a startup, guys. So we wanted to just kind of touch base a little bit on these for you so we could coach you up a little bit on how to handle these startup trades. So this is from Steb and Cross 24. And this was in a league that we are currently drafting in that I believe is in the fifth round, I believe.
It's the Gandalf.
And, yep, this is the Gandalf League. Yes, that's right, Scott. You can see how excited he is to talk about this. So we got Step 20 is getting the 705, the 808, and the 212. And he is in exchange, he is sending the 1005, the 308, a 2027 first, 11-1, and the second 2027 second.
Wait, are these 27s representing the rookie draft?
These 27s are,
Rookie
yes, I
picks?
was going to say that. The 27 first is the actual 2025 rookie pick. So all of these 27 firsts are represented as 2025 rookie picks, guys. So
Do
you
we
know.
know what picks they have? Like there's
Yes,
the reverse order,
So
right?
that one is the 106, I believe, for the
106 and 2 and 2 4. Okay.
yes.
Or
Yeah,
not 2
106,
4.
No,
or,
Steve.
well,
Because there's
28.
12. 208,
Seven.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's what this is.
Right.
So to me, the reason I wanted to bring this to our everybody's attention here in this trade is if you look at the way that it's broken down here, it looks like it's kind of a steal, but it's really actually not. And to me, it's actually more. I would probably go after the 3 picks and throw away the first and the second more than I would take the multiple picks on this trade. So, but I'm curious to see what you guys think. So we'll start with you, Connor, because I know you do a lot of pre-trade or pre-draft trading, startup draft trading. That's what I'm trying to say. So, what do you think of this trade so far? What side do you lean on first and foremost, and why?
Just initially, I lean the Steb side just because, and one of the reasons is because once you get past like the 10th round, or really once you get into the 10th round, most of those guys are either old or they're not really dynasty assets you want. And I think the 7th and 8th rounds you can get some guys that might carry some value, might rise a little bit more so than you can get in the 10th and 11th round there. I don't mind the move back, from the move back from the 212 to the 308 for the 106. But I prefer the Steb side just because you get, I think, 2 players plus, you get the move up in the Shroud side that, have some dynasty value.
So, Sarah, what do you think? I'm going to save
Yeah.
Scott for last.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say even after the 8th round is when the value really starts to kind of take a big dip. And I think that, like you said, at the 212 and for the 38 and the 106 makes sense. And then, but to get 3 picks below the 10th and then take a 10th, 11th in return with that second, I don't think that it adds up after that. So I'd take the Steb side for that reason. It just drops off too much after that 8th round, sometimes 9th, depending on how it goes because of the, rookies. But agree for those same reasons.
And where did you say that second round was? Is that the 201 or the 204? 208?
208.
No, it's 106 and 207, I believe, right? If he's at the 106, it's 27.
Wait, isn't it 12-man league?
It's a different player. It's the Green Canuck. And then it's Steb.
Oh, it's somebody else's. Oh, good call. Yeah, it's somebody else's first.
I thought Steb was at the I think he is at the. Is he not at the 1 spot? So he has the first pick.
Steb's at the 1 spot.
So that means he has the last.
Oh, so you're right. Steb is
so it's back. It's
so it's the
201.
201, which makes it a little bit better.
Just a tiny bit, yeah.
No. Steb is at the 1. He's at the 101 spot, so that would make it the 212.
He gets the last rookie pick.
No,
Well,
he
he
has,
gets the 112, but
he
then he
gets-
gets the 201
yeah, he
because
has
it's
the 201.
Yeah.
because it's
He gets
snake.
the
I mean,
112
because
and
it's
201.
linear.
Yeah,
or
he has
snake,
he has the 201, so it's a early second,
So
which
it's
I
a
don't.
106 and a 201.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
Oh yeah,
not
that
that
makes it a
bad.
little better then.
Yeah,
That makes it a little better.
yeah, it makes it a
Not
little bit
enough to take 10 and 11 with first 7
Yeah.
and 5, but it's definitely
Yeah.
a little better.
So, guys, this is a lesson for all you newbies to the Ballsville game. If you're on one of these new Dynasty expansions that we're doing, the 2027 Rook picks count as your actual 2025 rookie picks, and it is a snake draft since it's a startup. It's only going to be a snake during the startup. It's going to go to a normal rookie draft after the startup season, but for the startup season, it's a snake draft. So that got a few people. So make sure you pay attention to that when you're making your trades of these startups. So that will be that trade for Trader Slim.
Are you gonna let me?
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry, Scott. Let's get your opinion on it.
I mean, I won't go too much into it. Before I get into my take, I'll say hi to Cheeky.
I was so excited about it that I completely spaced you. I can't believe I did that.
That's okay. I'll say hi to
How
Cheeky House
rude.
in the chat. Welcome in, Cheeky. Big Ballsville gamer right there. You're gonna see the name Crows24 quite a bit, probably in some of these slides. Pretty sure he'll be in a few of them. But this guy, he's a very interesting character in our league. He's trying to acquire as many first round draft picks as possible. So he's going the punt route for year one. So what I try to do in dynasties, and I'm not a big dynasty guy, actually, I don't really prefer dynasty myself, but what I try to do is try to acquire. So there's 96 players in the first 8 rounds, and I want to try to acquire as many top 100 players as I can possible. And whether moving around the board or doing whatever I can, because I feel the same way. Like Sean said, Connor said, when you hit like the 10th, 11th, 12th round, I mean, those guys are just like older fill-ins that are going to be on your roster for a year or two to help you win now. And then, or just guys that are like flyers. So I like Steve. Steve, whatever his name is, he put together a pretty nice team, so far. So I like him acquiring the 7th, 8th, and the 212. In that draft, he acquired himself. He got himself some top 96 players, and he was able to ship away the 10th, the 11th, and then, like I said, draft picks are draft picks. I mean, they're dart throws. They're just rookies that come in, and he can get 3 established players with those 2 picks. So I like those. I like the step trade there.
I figured you would be a big dynasty guy with how big you are on rookies and stuff. It's interesting.
No, I mean, what dynasty to me is just it's too much of a grind for me. I used to be in a bunch of dynasty leagues, and it's just too much of a grind, and and then I started getting to the point where I had too many teams, and I'd like lose track of like, I'm not giving this team enough attention, not giving this one. So I figure
It's hard to keep up.
if I just stay in like a handful of them, then I can treat them all the same and make sure I give each one it's the equal amount of attention.
What you need is that patented spreadsheet that Ken has to control his 300 dynasty leagues.
And the other thing too is I have a hard time with like, I don't know, maybe it's probably because I don't do enough dynasty, and it's like in dynasty, unlike redraft and best ball, there's a lot of trading in the startup. So, learning values of if I'm trading my 3rd round or startup, what's the value, if I move back, what do I expect in return, this and that. So I think eventually on Ballsville, I'm trying to convince Sean and possibly Connor and maybe Ken to try to put their heads together and put together some kind of trade chart or startup trade chart or something. Cause it's hard for me to find, I can't find anything on the internet for like something that's really in depth with the real true value of when you're trying to move around in a dynasty startup. So it's something I haven't seen on the internet. And I told these guys for our website, I said, you and Sean, you and Connor and Ken, because I think those 3 are the top dynasty guys in our league. You guys need to put your heads together and put together a good chart or some kind of plug-in where our gamers can, instead of going to Keep Trade Cut all the time, can go into this app or this what we have created on the website and get true values of how to manipulate and how to move through a dynasty startup draft board.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna come up with something. We'll make up a cool like way of doing this for you guys because that's what we're all about is giving you guys all the stuff that we can to help you along through these fantasy leagues, along with amazing new games like the triathlon and amazing podcast episodes like this one. So moving on, Trader Clem does like the step side of this trade. So the next trade that we have is not involving Cross 24, so you don't have to worry, Scott. You are okay on this one. We have this one here I wanted to put in the board, though, because it did involve the 101. So I wanted to talk about what you guys consider the 101, the value of it, and whether you thought this was worthy of the 101 and so on. So this guy gave up the 101 and the 701, and he was able to receive the 108, the 1005, the 308, and the 2027 first, which we already talked about because it is the same first that got moved in the last trade that we just saw. So we know what number that is, 106. So where do you stand on that one, Connor? We'll start with you. Do you think that's enough to get the 101, or do you think he should have gotten more for it?
I mean, the question you're asking, is it enough for Josh Allen, right?
Well, I mean, what if you think the
Jaden
101 is whoever it is, Hayden or Josh?
I think that's a pretty equal deal when I'm looking at it. Just, you move from the 101 back to the 108. So you're looking at, one of those, you're probably looking at maybe a
He got Justin
Jefferson, Jalen Hurts. If a quarterback falls, you got maybe one of those guys, and then you move up. You get you an extra third round pick. Then you move up from the 7th and you get a first. Yeah, I think that's pretty equal value to what Jaden would be, and just a deal straight up for him. My personal opinion, I'd have to, look at who they got, there, but just off my initial reaction, I think it's probably pretty equal for that 101, if not lean towards away from the 101 side.
Where are you at on that, Sarah?
Yeah, I actually very, very often will trade my 101 or 102 in dynasty leagues because I want to get a little more extra, move back in the first. So I actually really like Stebb's side of this. I think it's very fair, and it's a good, it might actually be a little bit more towards Stebb's side, just by a tiny bit. Because usually in dynasties, you're trading away your 2026, not your rookie pick. You're usually picking your rookies up in the dynasties. So I think that brings up the value just a tiny bit more there because you already know what pick that is. You're not just, assuming. So I really like that trade a lot. I think it's very fair. I think I would take Stebb's side, but it doesn't mean that if I'm not dying for Jaden Daniels, that it's, that's your guy. You got to get him.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I mean, when you look at the difference in the players, when you say Justin Jefferson versus Jaden Daniels, then you see all the extra amount that he got. It looks pretty lopsided. But he basically did was drop 7 picks to go from 7-1 to 3-8, right? So he dropped 7 picks. He goes up from 7-1 to 3-8. He gets a 10-05. He gets a first.
And get an extra rookie pick, even though he traded that away. He was going to have 101. 106 and 112 in the rookie pick if he hadn't traded that 1-6 later.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with you guys. I think the value is sound, for both of these guys. And if they like the players enough, I don't think it's too much to give up. I probably would have tried to, bump that 10-5 down to maybe like a 12th rounder. And then that way it's completely out of that realm of, tier break that we talked about from that 10th round area. But that would be the only adjustment I think would be necessary if I wanted to try to really pull like the right value, I would think, out of it. Otherwise, I mean, if you really cared for Jaden that much, I don't hate it. Scotty, you got the same opinion, or?
Okay, so Steb is probably my favorite team so far in that league. I think he manipulated the board, worked the board very well. I think he thought the same thing I did. Is I have an 8-player tier in that first round. So he was happy enough to trade back to 108 and says, look, I'm going to get one for sure. I'm going to get a guy in my tier. And then what he ended up doing was he used that 27 first. So he ended up having two, he ended up using that 27 first and he ended up getting his second round pick back where he took C.J. Stroud. So his team was.
That was the last trade we just discussed.
Pardon me?
That was the trade we
Stroud?
just discussed.
Yeah. So like he
Mhm.
did a real good job in the first, like his first 4 picks were really good. He ended up with 2 elite quarterbacks. He ended up with Justin Jefferson and then Trey McBride, and then he was ecstatic. And I thought it was really good the way he worked the board. So yeah, I like the step side a lot.
Awesome. All right, Connor, you already gave your opinion, or did I skip you? You did. I thought so.
Yeah, he was,
All right. Trader Squem gets a little confused when he gets into a 4-man evaluation. And we got one more trade involving Scott's favorite player, Crows 24, and Scott's other favorite player, Steb 20. Look at that. Your 2 favorite guys made a deal.
Another
This
one.
one here, Crows got Joe Burrow, and which was basically just the 105, in exchange for the 10-12, the 2-12, which is what he talked about turning into C.J. Stroud, the 26 first and the 27 first, which the 27 and 26 first were both his. So that would put his 26 or 27 versus the 112.
Yep.
Yep.
So what do you think of
112,
that, guys?
and
The
then whatever.
112, the 26 first, the 212, and the 10-12 for Joe Burrow.
So I'll start with this one. So, everyone could say, "Oh yeah, that Step." So what Step ended up happening was, so Step he drafted Joe Burrow, but then he ended up getting back that 2000 that second round pick, and he ended up taking C.J. Stroud. So he worked out another deal, obviously, like I said, and giving up another first round pick because, like I said, that Kroos, he ended up all he wanted to do was just acquire first round picks all the time. So, I mean, right now it looks like maybe, I would still take the 105, but like I said, Step ended up getting that pick back, which he turned into C.J. Stroud later on down the road.
So, and the reason that I wanted to go over these trades with you guys too is to talk about, how Kroos attacked this deal. But before we get too far onto that, I want to make sure that I give Connor and Sarah the opportunity to discuss this trade. But so where you guys stand on this one? Do you think that's too much for Bro? Yeah, Connor, you go first.
I think that's probably like right where I'd like him, like to get back for Burrow. Stroud and 2 first-round picks is, pretty steep price, although it is a late, guaranteed late first there. You don't know what's going to happen with the 2026 first. If it's an early one, probably lean that side. If it's a late one, probably lean the other side. So,
I think, one of the biggest things for me is when I'm in a dynasty, whether it's a startup draft or if it's just trading guys after we've already drafted, and even if it's second or third year, one of the biggest things for me is looking at the guys that are trading and seeing what they're doing, because the second you turn someone into a monster like they're doing with Steb, it's like, if nobody's noticing like the trickery that's happening and like the way that they're moving around on the board, and you keep giving them these things, or trading because you think it's going to be better for you, and then all of a sudden he ends up with this monster team that wins for 3 years straight until, unless 4 guys get injured on his team or something. So he's slick, and I like what he's doing for himself. I think that this trade in particular is relatively fair. I definitely think that's a fair trade. I would probably, on this end, just because the 105 to the 212, I'd probably be on the 105 side just by a little bit, but I actually really like Kroos' side on this. I think he got what he needed out of it.
I'm with you on that one. I definitely do think that Kroos got a little bit more value out of this one than I anticipated he would have, because the way Steb, has been able to move the board, I just didn't think he'd give up that much value. But I do think he really wanted to get himself some Burrow, so
yeah,
he did what he had to do. And the thing I really wanted to kind of talk about for a second, which to me it's important when you're doing what Kroos has done, that you got to pay attention to a couple of things, and I wanted to discuss them with you guys. Is the way that he's attacked this draft, he was trading back, trying to get as many picks as he could in the future. And it works great when you do that. And I think it's an awesome, strategy if you play it right. But if you don't take a player here and there and you're just consistently jumping back every single time you can just to do it to get picks, and you end up getting all the way down to the late 5th, early 6th, 7th, so somewhere in that range, and you haven't taken a single player yet, you've done yourself a disservice by putting in all that work to do all that trading and not snagging a player here and there when the value is right to take them, and build at least a couple of core players on your team in your startup. Because like Scott's talked about 100 times in the past, that, and not just quarterbacks, but in any player, it's going to be cheaper to trade for them and get a player in a startup than it ever is going to be to trade after a startup in a dynasty. That's just how it is with these players. Unless they've bombed and their value isn't the same, which is completely different. If they've stayed at the level that you drafted them to be, they're always going to be more expensive down the road until they start getting old and fading away. So, for me, it's you do what Gross does, but you snag a player in the 3rd round. You trade back, you traded back well enough to where you have a few picks where you could still take a player and then do another trade back later in that round if you've done it right. So you take a player there, you take a player in the 5th, you take a player in the 6th or 7th, maybe take 2 if you can, because of the way the board's fallen right. And you do it at the right time. You do it strategically when there's a player that's got the right value on the board that can be a part of your team that isn't probably going to be super competitive in year 1, but that guy is going to be a super stud potentially for year 2. So you get him while you can when the value's right. Like Rashee Rice, for example.
Yeah, and his first player in the draft that he actually selected, isn't even the number 1 on his team. So he took Xavier Worthy. So
exactly, and which is why I brought up Rashee Rice, because to me, I would have gone for a Rashee Rice instead of trading back like that. At a certain point, I would have taken Rashee over moving up to get Worthy like he did, and trading away multiple 3rd and 4th rounders that he had spent a lot of time building, to add to his roster, and then turn around and just throw them away to go up 2 picks. Go ahead, Connor.
I don't want to brag or anything. I just want to talk about a team that I drafted last year that was exactly like what Krause is doing this year.
When you start out with, I don't want to
start your
brag.
sentence that way.
You should have just went on with it. And
I just want to talk
everyone
about
thinks that you're bragging.
I just want to talk about a team that I literally drafted very similar to what Krause is doing this year, and just talk it over and see how his team could end up. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, absolutely. But how many players did you take before the 6th round?
I took 1 player between rounds 1 through, I think, 13. 1 player, and I drafted all. I had all rookie picks.
What was that 1 player? Just curiosity.
It was CeeDee Lamb at the 110, I believe. And every other round I traded. Let me look and see what exactly. I'll look at the draft.
I'm surprised you didn't take young quarter.
So I ended last year with CeeDee Lamb, and then it was round 11 was my next pick, and it was Jahan Dotson, and that obviously turned out bad. But here's my team Here's how my rookie draft went last year with the players I got. I had the 102, the 103, the 107. No,
you didn't even end up in the worst spot to get the 101.
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, I had the 102.
You did all that, and you couldn't even get so bad that you got the 101.
You couldn't
This was the last year's draft. So this was like the startup, and then you had the rookie draft.
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I ended up with the 102, 103, 106, and then 110 through 203. So here's the players I got. I got Marvin Harrison, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Xavier Worthy, Ladd McConkey, Bo Nix, Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson. Ended up drafting Tyrone Tracy and traded him away. Ray Davis, Eric All, Jermaine Burton, and Ben Sinnott, all in that rookie draft. And then I turned in, I think y'all did some of these trades that I made earlier this offseason. I ended up getting, so now my team is Drake May, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, CeeDee Lamb, Mark Andrews, Ladd McConkey, Marvin Harrison, Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott, bunch of young rookies. And then I have the 101, 109, and my 2026 first still. So I still get Genty on top of that.
Yeah,
and that's something you can do when you trade. not like I said. I mean, it's a.
But that's
honestly,
because
a
you got
fantastic
lucky
team.
enough to have like a rookie draft that happened to hit like literally more
Yeah.
than most rookie drafts have hit in a long time. Like you're not going to get to the mid-second round with like guys that come out like a Bo Nix and stuff like that. Like it's what happened this year. That's not
I
happening.
mean, you
It's not
easily
like
could. I mean, but you could though. Like I wasn't guaranteed to hit on Bo Nix. I wasn't guaranteed to hit on May.
No, I
I
know.
literally-
But that's what I'm saying. We're not going to have that type of talent. I mean, we had Brian Thomas, Bo Nix,
Yeah.
Drake May. You know, those guys are falling to the late first, early second. That's not going to happen this year. Even the guys in late first, early second, they're going to be those guys.
No, I don't disagree with you. I'm just more talking about the point that this strategy can work.
I think that
With a good class, it
yeah,
can really
that's
work.
what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. Sarah makes a good point. I think Kroos is doing it in the wrong class.
Yeah, but you never know. You never know what you're going to get until after they play. I mean,
But you
You
do
could
know you're
have-
not going to get more than maybe 2 quarterbacks this year, right? Like we
No,
know that. Like the
I-
odds
again,
of us
I-
getting a third are slim.
again, I don't disagree with you that maybe it's not the best strategy. This class isn't the greatest, but I'm just saying I was just more talking about the point of the strategy, not
it
not
can,
the actual.
yeah, no, it definitely can work. I'm super surprised you only took one guy and got it 12 rounds. That's crazy.
I mean, not to brag or anything,
That was
but
scary.
you know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have that kind of patience to wait that long.
Yeah,
I
that
would
was
be
the
too
only.
scared. I would be too scared.
I did a bunch of startups last year, and that was the only one I actually did that strategy, and it's one of my, if not my favorite team now. So that's what I was
yeah,
more talking
like you
about.
said, yeah, it could work for sure.
All right, cool. All right, well then that wraps it up for this episode of the Ballsville podcast. We hope you enjoyed it.
we got a couple of things, Scott. Before we go, we want to let's touch base.
We're doing a freebie, aren't we?
Well, I don't know if we got enough people for that at that point. I
We
didn't
didn't
see
get
Yeah, we're not giving nothing away.
And we got to 32 eyeballs with 18 people. So
But we did have a
People
couple of
listen
trade
to us.
talk questions that I wanted to bring up
Oh,
before
okay,
we
yeah,
rolled
go ahead.
out.
Yeah.
So we've got this. Tanner had asked earlier, what do we think of this option? Aaron Jones in the 306 for Mark Andrews in a 2026 fourth. It's a 2 TEP league and 0.5 per rushing first down. So there's a little bit of a scoring change up there when it comes to tight ends. I mean, tight ends 2 TEP is pretty solid. And then 0.5
I am pretty
per
sure
first
this
down.
is my high rollers league that we're in
It
together.
could be. It's your friend Tanner that posted the question. so
Yeah,
that's
I
very
think
well
this is the
suited.
league that I commish with him because I do have a 2-point TEP and a 0.5 rushing, and I'm pretty sure I just sold him Aaron Jones.
In the 306 for Mark Andrews in the 2026 fourth.
No, I'm no, like in a
He's
different
asking
trade.
about another trade after you sold it to him. Okay.
I think so. I can't remember if I actually accepted that trade or not. I know that we were going back
funny.
and forth and trying to but I think I did trade him Aaron Jones.
So for me on this one, I'm
Aaron Jones.
taking Mark Andrews in the fourth all day. I like the 2 TEP. I think Andrews is the more long-term player left in the league. I think he's got more years left than Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is going to start getting phased out by the end of this season, to be honest. So, that's where I stand on it. Where are you at, Connor?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't play in. I think leagues like this are great.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
He
we're moving on
offered
from
me
Connor.
this
Go ahead,
trade. No,
Sarah.
he offered me this trade. He made this offer to me.
So what do you think, Sarah? Are you
And then
into this trade or not?
I countered.
Oh, okay. Well, let's have Scott's opinion before we hear your counter then.
Jeez. Okay, so which side is yours, Sarah? Where are you getting?
He offered me Mark Andrews for Aaron Jones and a third.
Smash.
Yes.
I
That's
countered.
exactly my opinion.
Now this is why he's
Exactly my
asking. He's
opinion.
like, you should have taken that trade.
Did you not take it and he pulled it? Because if so, smart man.
I don't know. I don't know if it's still. No, I countered, so I think the counter is still sitting there.
I mean, I think.
All right, Tanner, send it back. I said I should take
Andrew's still in the prime of his career. 2-point tight end premium.
Yeah.
Lamar, even though they do have likely there, Lamar does like going to Andrews.
Yeah.
Andrews had kind of a down year last year, so I mean, that was a horrible drop in the end zone in the playoffs. And
Yeah,
just,
I mean,
I could see
yeah.
like a chip on his shoulder this year. Like, hey, I'm one of the top tight ends of the league, and I think he'll have a bounce back year.
All I countered with was I just added on my side a 26th fourth rounder.
Wow. See, so that's maybe another rule for thumb. if the fourth rounder is what you're countering with, sir, in my opinion, don't even worry about that counter. You just take that offer. If all you're looking to get back is a fourth rounder, it's not even worth the counter. It's just take the offer and be happy.
Yeah,
That's how I look at it.
Yeah,
I
I guess I was. Yeah, I guess I'm just. Yeah, I was probably just didn't want to lose one of my
Future
Yeah, but
fourth.
that
Yeah.
does-
one of
you know
my
what that-
only one of my better running backs. But hold on a second. Did he? Oh, sorry. No. He took the trade. He took it. He accepted
Oh, he
it.
did. So he did.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say that almost
Yeah,
reminds me of
He accepted it.
the dog in the bone. Did you ever hear the story about the dog in the bone?
No.
So this dog has, he has this bone, and he takes the bone, he runs out to the water, the little pond that he lives on, and he looks in the water and he sees another dog in there with a bigger bone in his mouth. And he's like, God, I want that bone. So he goes to get that bone and he lets the bone out of his mouth and it goes in the water. Now he has no bone. So you basically were being a little greedy there, and he almost pulled the deal off the table for you, but he actually put it back on. So the point of the story is, don't get greedy. If somebody comes with an offer like that, if you're willing just to give them a fourth, it's a counter. That's not really a counter. Just take the deal.
Yeah. Like I
exactly.
said, I was just worried to give up one of my main running backs because
And it almost
I don't
cost
have
you
any
the
firsts.
opportunity
I don't
to
have
go
any
to
firsts.
market.
I came in second in this league. My soonest rookie pick is 206.
Did we lose
And-
Connor? Where'd he go?
Connor
yeah, I
had to
guess
take
so.
off.
Oh, yeah.
He had,
okay,
he had to
okay.
go. He said he
So
had to
this
leave.
leaves now my running backs are just Chase Brown, Jonathan Taylor. Don't get me wrong; those are two great starters. But with like Garendo and
You can work on that later.
Vidal, and
got plenty
Vidal
of
is
time
my
to fix
backup
that.
running backs.
That's
and
fine.
You got
it.
plenty of time to fix that.
You got Jonathan Taylor. You only need, in Dynasty, you really only need, I mean, this is my opinion, you only need one bell cow. You can work, or you can
I
interchange.
do have Tyrone Tracy too.
Oh, yeah, you got.
I forgot about him.
Oh my God, Sarah.
I
All
came in
right.
second in this league last year. I did really well. It's just a high roller league, man.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I don't mean to brag or anything.
God,
Okay, Connor.
all right. All right, gang. Well, then, like I said, please like and
that was
subscribe
loud.
to the podcast. That really helps a lot. We're trying to fill content until we get to the obviously the NFL draft that comes up. It looks like Alex says we're going to do 2 raffles next week, so tune in next Wednesday for 2 free raffles. We'll have
And our big triathlon reveal. That's going to be a
we're
lot
gonna
of fun.
have a big triathlon reveal next week, so definitely tune in for that. We'll be pretty excited for that.
Triathlon.
So thank you guys again for entering the chat. Really appreciate it. Well, we can't say goodbye to Connor. He already left. But for Sarah, I'm 21, our producer, and for Trader Clem, our Bills Mafia, my co-host, I am Lutz for Sale for the last time. I'll have a new name next week. Until next week, folks.
That's because he's got no more loots for sale, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a wrap.